There have been many names for this part of South Africa. Cape of Storms, the Cape of Hope, the Mother City, the Windy City, but we now all know it as simply Cape Town. This beach in Cape Town is called Clifton Beach, and this is where we'll be staying for a week. I decided to take my new book out on this trip. This book. It's by John Sellers, and it's about what ancient Greek philosophers teach us about Stoicism. The philosophy was founded in Athens in the 3rd century BC, and it asserts that we don't control and cannot rely on external events, only ourselves in how we respond to the events. That virtue is happiness, and judgment should be based on behavior rather than simply words. Some parts of the book really stood out to me, so if you don't mind, I'll read you a few of the passages throughout this week's video. I also want to use this week's video to shine a light on the other side of Cape Town, the side that many people don't see, but in many ways is the engine that drives this city. They're called the townships. Anyway, welcome to Cape Town. Enjoy the show.
This is the face of a man who's been awake for over 48 hours. I'm in a different dimension right now.
I just said something really weird to the kids. I just went, who came out of my womb? And they both went, me.
We're delirious, man. We've been awake for so long, we're
just not
delirious.
meant for parenting. Our friends Neil and they very, very, very kindly greeted us at the airport and drove us to their house and looked after us and ordered us breakfast, and we're just, oh god, they really looked after us on our first day because we were so tired. Like, the boys both slept for 7 hours on the flight, but Stef and I had really patchy sleep for I'd say, well, I tried to clock mine up and it was like an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm one of these people, if I don't get 8 hours, I'm a massive bitch. So I've basically been trying to drink caffeine and then switch to wine in order not to be a massive bitch, but I don't think I've accomplished it. I still think I've been a massive bitch. I'm just a massive tired bitch with greasy hair.
We just had a big sleep after that 11-hour flight from Heathrow. We were dreading the flight. We were dreading the flight so much, but it ended up being okay. There was only about 3 or 4 hours of brutality, and then they fell asleep. I didn't really sleep. I think I had about a combined 2 hours of sleep. The BA plane that flew us over from Heathrow was like the oldest plane I've ever been on, and there's no leg room, so it was the most deeply uncomfortable flight of my life.
I have a shell.
You have a shell? Oh, wow. We're delighted to be here. I love this little pocket of time when it's like the first day of your trip, when it's just at the start, so we're all happy. Kids are loving it. Are you happy? You all right?
Yeah, I just want to find a dishwasher.
Hannah's a bit stressed, she can't find a dishwasher tablet, so I'm going to help her with that now. But yeah, let's see some of Cape Town.
We are but parts of nature, subject to its greater forces, and inevitably swept along by his movements.
I've been trying to work out the place and what it reminds me of. And it kind of reminds me a bit of a combination of a few different places I've been. It reminds me a little bit of Miami, a little bit of Ibiza, and a little bit of Greece. It kind of has all of that, those kind of different, I hate the word vibes, but vibes. It has those different vibes of all those different places kind of mixed into one. Yeah, and also the backdrop of the colossal mountains is incredible, but it does look fake. Like when you look up and you see these mountains, if I was in virtual reality, I would probably say this is amazing, but those mountains need some work. They look a little bit fake. I'm not convinced they're real. They just look fake somehow.
Can I tickle you? Can I tickle you there? Can I tickle you? I can tickle you.
Yeah.
Tickle, tickle, tickle. We're just off down to the beach. Got my net and my bucket and spade. We're just gonna wear the boys out. I'm actually quite looking forward to having a little run around.
You're very good at building sandcastles, you know. Yeah, you're really good at it.
The reason why we came to Cape Town is, well, we were kind of, I don't want to say bullied, but pressured into it by these two. This is our good friends Neil and Anae. Anae herself is a born and bred South African. They live in Bath and they're some of our closest friends, and they've been banging on about us coming to South Africa for as long as we've known them. I don't think we've ever gone out with Neil and Anae and them not bring up the fact that we have to totally go and visit South Africa at some point. So in all honesty, this trip was mostly just to stop them going on about it the whole time. My dad also used to live out here, and he's been going on about how great this place is for years now. So it's a box that I've wanted to tick for some time. So this is us ticking the box. We're only out here for a week because we have to get back for Grayson's school, obviously. So it's just a quick half-term break. In the UK, we've been battered by multiple storms and fear-mongering over coronavirus. So it's good to get away for a bit.
This house is holding secrets. Got my change.
Oh God, this camera is so screwed from all the sand. Oh no. Yeah, look, the lens is Look how much of a tourist I look like carrying that bad boy around me. We're gonna go down to the beach now. It's golden hour. We're gonna have a little bit of a splash before bedtime. Get the kids to burn off the last bit of energy, and then get some Uber Eats in. Uber Eats here is so cheap that you just end up just doing Uber Eats every time instead of actually cooking. Because the food out here for the restaurants is so good and so cheap that you may as well just order in.
And healthy.
Yeah.
It's so easy to
Really
find a healthy option. That's one of my favourite things about this place so far is that if you want to eat healthy, it's really easy and good.
Yeah.
We're going.
Okay, you ready guys? Should we go? Right, let's go.
The Stoics don't think that nature is an indifferent mass of matter in motion. Their view is that there is a rational principle within nature responsible for its order and animation. It simply is nature. Nature isn't blind and chaotic. It's ordered and beautiful, with its own rhythms and patterns. It's a single living organism. All of which we are all parts.
My view of her.
You're obsessed, aren't you?
No, I just find it fascinating.
Grayson, do you want to come over and look at some of the influences in the wild? Come over here, do you want me to show you some of the influences in the wild? Do you want to see what narcissism looks like? Narcissism.
Oh, look, got another twirl going on. Picking up some tips. So, Steph and I have a new favourite hobby, and it is basically watching influencers in the wild. Basically, it's this hashtag that I follow where influencers get secretly filmed doing all their poses, and it's just really funny. I find it really funny, partly because I have to do a bit of that for my job. I'm really shit at it, but I find it funny to watch other people doing it because it looks so cringy, and there's so many people that do it on this beach. This one girl I'm watching this morning, she's been out there for an hour now since I got up, and they've moved from the shore to the sea, got wet, done some hair flicking, done some shots walking through the water, and now we're like lying on the sand, and I just find it fascinating to watch, and also it makes me cringe at what I do for a job, which isn't good.
I feel like there's a bit of an elephant in the room that I should be addressing right now, and that's the fact that a lot of our viewers who have been with us for some time may have noticed that the videos aren't as regular as they used to be. We used to upload every single Sunday. We'd have a couple of weeks off here and there, but they would normally, 9 times out of 10, be a video uploaded every Sunday. And that changed recently. I want to create something that I can say that I'm proud of, and I can't produce work that I'm proud of if I only have a week to do it.
We've been stuck in our Airbnb for the last 2 hours because Rufus found a plant pot and started digging it, and I think he kicked up some pollen from the plant pot. All of a sudden his face swelled up, his eyes were streaming, he was like in the hysterics, wouldn't stop crying.
Oh, I know.
He's okay now, we've given him some like medicine, he's fine, but yeah, for the past couple of hours we've had lots of Rufus screaming in our face.
I want to put something out there from my head into the universe, which I am proud of. And the one thing that I have standing in my way of that is time. So instead of working against it, I'm going to try and work with it. So our videos may not be as regular anymore, but whenever they are uploaded, I want you to know that a lot more has gone into it. Anyway, that's the reason. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, sand in the viewfinder is not the one. We just got back from our first little beach trip of the morning. We decided to come inside because it's really hot and we just want to get the kids out of the midday sun. So they're just eating their lunch on the balcony. They're getting on so well. They have their moments where they argue and they hate each other, but when they get on, they really get on. They're like little best friends. It's so lovely and really handy because they can just go and chill together and we can relax.
What a tiny part of the boundless abyss of time has been allocated to each of us. And this is soon vanished into eternity. How tiny in the whole earth the mere clod on which you creep.
It's an unfortunate feature of the human mind that we tend to look outward for weirdness that will inject into the world more than the everyday that we experience through common everyday encounters. We want there to be more. We don't want it to be that we're just on this rock around this planet and we live for a while and then we're gone. We want it to be more than that. And so we imagine that there's some answer floating out there in the cosmos, that maybe that will be brought down to Earth. And my view of that is, it's much more noble to recognize that there is no answer floating out there in space. There's no space data that's going to come here and say, this is what it's all about. The answer is, you and I and everybody else, we manufacture our own meaning, we manufacture our own purpose, and how much better is it that we come up with our own meaning than having it bestowed or forced upon us by some external entity? think about the collection of quantum events stretching back from the Big Bang until today that had to turn out exactly as they did for you and for me to actually exist. Each one of these quantum events, and there are nearly infinitely many of them, could have turned out that way instead of this, yielding a universe in which neither you nor I nor anybody else would be here. And yet against those astounding odds, we're here. That's what it's all about.
We waste so much time. We procrastinate, pursue things of little or no value. Wander aimlessly through life with no clear focus. Some people strive to achieve success so they can be wealthy enough to buy luxury goods. In doing so, they waste the greater part of their lives. Others strive for nothing, just going through the motions of daily routines without any sense of the most valuable commodity they have: time. Some people have a clear idea of what they want to do, but are paralyzed by fear of failure. They conjure up excuses for why now is not the time to act. All of these different types fail to live.
That is cause for celebration. And you can go further. Not only are we here, we can figure out how we got here. We can create art. We can write the stories that you are referring to. We can create comedy. We can build monuments. We can create films. We can do things that inanimate objects can't. So this, to me, is where the value and purpose and meaning comes from. That's what it's all about.
So this is Fort Nelson Hotel. Dad recommended we come here for high tea, so that's why we're here.
It's good.
Where's the tea? You can't just give me all this stuff without the tea.
I like that.
You think you like it? I think I like that.
I like it.
You don't like that. Thanks for dropping it on my phone.
I hate high tea without tea.
Like a monkey.
Oh.
High tea without tea is horrible.
It's good.
This is a terrible recommendation.
There's a little box there.
You need a glass of champagne.
There's a little box. Where's the box, Mummy? What is going on it?
Hi.
What is
Hi.
going on it? Mummy, come here.
No, Grace, don't take off your top. Don't take off
No,
your top. This is not
don't
that sort of place.
take it.
Must be hot.
I think we just undo a button or two.
No. I want to piss it down.
Oh, we should have come out.
It's not correct, guys. Mummy, I think I
Man, who serves you all the food like 20 minutes before you get your tea? I love you.
Love you.
I'm going to try and hunt down some tea, man, because I can't go any further with this until I've got tea.
I know what you can do. You can take my Instagram picture for me while, here we go. You can come from like over here.
I'll see you later. Be good for mummy, okay? Wish me luck.
This is Natty. He's going to show me around a township, the township that he grew up in and still lives in. It's called Langa. Langa is one of the many areas in South Africa that were designed for black Africans before the apartheid era. It's the oldest of such suburbs in Cape Town and houses about 80,000 people. I'm interested to learn more about the culture of Langa and find out more about this side of Cape Town hidden in the suburbs.
Nowadays, township, the way township is defined, is a place where you find poor people, regardless of their their race
Do
or
you
skin
respect
color.
that definition, or do you not think that definition's right?
I don't think that definition is right. Because just because someone else finds themselves in a unfortunate situation where they are poor and things are bad for them, that does not make the place they are living in a township. Because the townships that we know, the townships that we come from, it's a place of pride. It's a place where people are happy. It's a place, even if someone is poor, but someone has hope that one day things will change. So in places that they call townships today, they are not like that. It's just people in most cases that have given up hope.
So obviously I felt a bit nervous mincing around a township in a polyester Hawaiian shirt, but it turns out the township we're going to visit is on the safe side. But that's not the case for all townships. According to Natty here, there are townships that are a no-go, even for him. But he assured me we'd be safe, which was nice to hear.
You see, Cape Town in South Africa is like gangster capital. But you find more gang activities in colored communities than in black townships. And the reason for that is because once you start becoming a problem in our neighborhoods, we come together.
Natty here is part of the Xhosa tribe. I'll let him explain.
Xhosa is known mainly because you use the clicks when you speak. Letter Q, we pronounce it as we get circumcised from age 18 and above. Boys go to the bush, spend a month in the bush learning about manhood, learning about life, most importantly respecting other people. By us sending them to the bush to get circumcised, that's why we don't have the gang culture. In colored communities, they don't have this ritual. The long time ago, they adopted becoming a gang member as becoming a man. All of these tribes we have, there are rituals that we do that makes us who we say we are. Like when there is a child born in the family must sacrifice a goat or a sheep to introduce that child to the ancestors of the family. For a man to get married in all of the tribes, the guy has to pay dowry in the form of cows to the family of the girl that he wants to marry. And what determines the dowry is education of the girl. If she's educated, pay a lot of cows to her family. So it can be anything between 8 to 12 cows or more.
She's beautiful.
2 extra cows.
Really? Is that the case? She's beautiful cows?
They call them the cows for the face. Because she's beautiful, and when you'll know that she's beautiful because you can see, and you can't argue with those 2 cows. Because also if you argue with the cows for the face, that means you are saying otherwise, and you will never have a happy marriage.
Despite Langa housing over 80,000 people, it's far from the largest township in South Africa. That title goes to Kalisia, which has a population of about 1.2 million. Townships are the home of a wide spectrum of people. You've got doctors here, lawyers, teachers. They even have a class system woven in. Many of the people who live in townships yet earn enough money to buy a house in the city have a tough choice to make, because leaving the township would also mean walking away from their tribe and all of their rituals.
When someone is successful, they still want to stay here. Lawyers, doctors, accountants, architects, sports people that could be living anywhere, but have chosen to stay here. It's the way of life.
The first place Natty took me was an art gallery that wouldn't look out of place in Shoreditch. It's all part of a grassroots regeneration program to draw in more tourists to the area. Let me just stop here by saying how handsome I look in this shot. Wow. The gallery is run by this guy, also called Natty, who showcases artwork from local artists. He told me all about their plan to open restaurants and trendy wine bars, all to make the townships feel more metropolitan and inviting for dead behind the eyes tourists like me. Natty took me into some of the hostels and showed me some of the shipping containers and explained how families managed to live in such close proximity. He explained how often 3 families would share a single room.
And when they started building those about 15 years ago, when they were building, temporarily they put people in those shipping containers where one shipping container would be shared by 2 families. Very, very small, hot when it's hot, cold when it's cold.
God, that must be hot.
But it's your home, you make the best of it.
Oh, surely with the sun coming down on that in 33 degrees.
Yeah, it's 2 times more. When it's 33 degrees outside, inside is gonna be 66. So that's why you'd spend more time outside than being in there.
When I asked Natty if more social housing was the answer, he said he didn't think so. He doesn't think people should be over-reliant on the government for help. He believes the answer is simply in education. He explained how his tribe only learn how to speak English from 8 years old, and that needs to be a lot sooner if they want to succeed in further education. He firmly believes that education is the best long-term solution to making the townships better places to live.
And the criminals are the ones who are scared to do as they are pleased, because they know what will happen to them. Hence, they would choose to do more crime at night than during the day. Hey, the people living in the shacks here, originally it was people who wanted to have more space and privacy, coming from the shipping containers. They came and built these shacks to have more space and privacy. This would be what you see when you drive along the highway. As much as you have more space and privacy living in a shack does have its own challenges. It's hot when it's hot.
Hotter than a shipping container?
A little bit less hotter, which is why they choose this than the shipping container. But this has its own challenges, as I mentioned. Fire is one of them. If this go on fire, all of them will burn very close to one another. I think yesterday on the other side of the township, there's an area that was on fire. With wind like this, and the firefighting station is like 20, 30 minutes away from here. With fire and wind, 30 minutes is enough to burn the whole area. As they get better jobs and better income, then they're gonna move to something better than this. Maybe go to a shack where they don't have to share anymore. They live alone. And then move from there. If they get another better job, paying more money, something better from there as well. So.
All of this walking around and learning about the townships was great and everything, but I needed a beer more than I needed some fashion advice. Luckily, Natty had me covered, or so I thought.
Let's get a traditional beer. Come.
He took me for a traditional beer made from something called sorghum, which looks like this, and tasted a bit like warm porridge watered down with a flat Stella Artois. It wasn't the most refreshing thing I've ever drank, if I'm honest. Besides, I was a little bit worried that Natty might have backwashed. I forgot to explain to him that I don't like people that backwash. I wanted to find out more about what makes a community from Natty's perspective, like what ties all of his people together and makes everything feel so united. Everything I've seen so far is such a world away from what I know. Where I'm from, you need hashtags to remind you to be kind to each other. A lot of us think the best way of showing kindness is by condemning people who think differently to us. But they've got a different way of looking at it. Their way of looking at it is refreshing, unlike the beer.
Now, we have a phrase, a very, very popular phrase in many African cultures, which is called Ubuntu. I am because you are. You need me, I need you. So that is my definition of Ubuntu. You see, it's very easy as a human being, as your life progresses, to start thinking you are better than everyone else and be like, okay, now I've made it. Also, at the same time, it's very easy when things don't go well for you to start blaming everything around you, especially other people, and then start becoming jealous of other people. The biggest punishment to someone like that, whether you look down on other people or you're jealous of other people, is isolation. No one's gonna give you an ear, because that's all you need, to have people you can boast to about your success and progress. Or you need people to share all your negative things and jealousy about other people. And when you don't get that, that kills you more. With all of the money you have, when you start thinking you're better than other people, everyone will move away, even your own family. You'd rather be poor than to be associated with someone who's looking down on other people. People are more important than material things. It's about your personality. It's not about what you have or you don't have. Who are you as a person? How do you relate with other people?
Ngozi Kakolo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Ngozi Kakolo.
And then to say bye, we say bye.
Okay, bye. Bye. Bye-bye.
Before we go any further, I need to add a trigger warning for any vegans or vegetarians watching. I'd say skip forward a couple of minutes of this video and you'll be back in your safe space. You've been warned.
These are sheep heads they're cooking, called smileys.
As you can see here, she is burning away the wool now. After burning away the wool, they chop the head in half to remove the brain, wash the head and boil the head in water mixed with salt for 2.5 hours. So when they boil the wool like she is doing there, the skin starts to shrink, then starts smiling. Hence, we call it a smiley. If you are wondering why all of them got painted faces, that's because they work with fire to protect their skin from the heat.
And how do you eat them? Just carve them up?
Cutting pieces from the head. This is the end product. Let me show you.
Do you ever eat this?
Many times.
Yeah?
But this is something you don't want to eat all the time. You eat it when you miss the taste so that you can keep enjoying it.
Okay.
The grapes, remember?
Yeah.
Let me light it. Smoke it, bro.
This lady's boiling liver and fat from her stomach, and my host is gonna buy some for these kids. If you put that in front of one of my kids, there's no way they would eat it. I would love to try it.
You want to try it?
When I said I'd love to try it, I was trying to basically say that I would love to try to put a slice of this liver that's been deep fried in intestine fat in front of my kids to see how they'd react to it. Not like I would love to try it. I didn't want to try it. There is nothing in this universe that I wanted to try less on this hot, arid day than liver that had been deep fried in intestine fat. The main reason is because I passionately hate liver with a bottomless, guttural hatred that is normally only reserved for Vernon Kay. However, I felt telling a man that once spent 30 days in a bush after getting his foreskin sliced off with a machete that I didn't quite enjoy the metallic aftertaste of liver. Felt, I don't know, I didn't want him to think I was a pussy. I was already on the back foot for turning up with a foreskin and a polyester Hawaiian shirt, so I had to try some.
Here we go. Let's see. Not bad.
That was a lie. Now, there was something I really wanted to avoid when I visited the townships. I really didn't want to have a basic, banal, enlightening experience where I walk away deeply humbled by the sense of community and companionship, because that shit would be trite. But the truth is, if I'm being completely honest, that's exactly what happened. I did have a trite, enlightening experience where I felt like I'd just witnessed what a real community feels like. And that's something I don't feel when I walk around our wealthy area in Cape Town or even back home in Bath. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather be lonely and isolated if it meant I had access to an espresso machine and a bidet, but I'm allowed to want my cake and eat it. If you ever go to Cape Town, I highly recommend you visit the townships. It's the engine that drives this city, and I found it truly fascinating. It taught me as much about myself as it did the place, which I know sounds basic, but I can't help it, I'm a basic man. And yes, no doubt you'll probably, like me, walk away with a pedestrian sense of cultural enlightenment that you'll no doubt forget in 2 weeks, but don't let that put you off. It was one of my fondest memories of visiting Cape Town.
The boys and I have come out at their bedtime tonight because it's golden hour, which basically means the light is just amazing for filming. The funny thing is, on this beach there's so many people out at golden hour taking photos and stuff because it's obviously just really well known that it's just stunning here. We've come out to film and we have brought our friend Josh. Wave, Josh. He's very kindly going to take some film of us all together because it's usually either Stef or I filming and we never all get to do it together as a family, so yeah.
We are paying Josh, by the way, it's not kindness. It's not just kindness.
But it also is kindness. I know.
If I told you I found God, what kind of God would you think I found? What would it be like? Would I think I found God? But not the contemporary God. Not a God that listens to you when you press your hands together and kneel beside your bed. Not a God that judges. Not a God that loves or hates. But nonetheless, a God. And I found God in a very unlikely place. Let me start from the top. I'm a little bit basic. I'm a little bit thick. My brain isn't very good. it can't spell for shit. It once made me wear a t-shirt saying "too busy to FC UK." Me trying to understand most things in life feels like I'm a calculator trying to render Toy Story. But that's okay, because over the years I've learned to do something with my basic brain, and that's to take things I don't understand and try to dumb them down and simplify them in a way that I can understand them. I essentially boil it down, deep fry it, dip it in some ketchup, and then try and chew on it. And that's how I get by. So whenever I look up at the stars and I contemplate the universe and everything within it, I have to boil it down. So when I do that, and I boil it all down, this is what I find. We all walk around thinking we're self-governing humans with principles and virtue and values, with a fondness for cheesy jacket potatoes, but none of that is true. I mean, it goes without saying that your fondness for cheesy jacket potatoes, that could be true. I'd never dream of taking that away from you, but everything that we think we are is a perception. What if that perception is wrong? Well, not wrong, just very limited. You and I are essentially a collection of trembling atoms in an infinite void born from chaos and unfathomable probabilities. And that's where I find my God. My God isn't hiding in churches. My God isn't hiding in love. My God isn't even hiding in faith. My God is hiding somewhere so obvious. The older I get, the more I know that I don't have a fucking clue who I am. In this world I found myself in, a lump of carbon and cells and DNA, navigating through seconds and hours and years. All its complexities. Its structure. Its vastness. Its laws. And in my blazing inability to even begin to try to comprehend any of it, that is where I find my God.